Hey, this is Nat, and we're off our couch in South Florida exploring the Everglades. The Everglades is the first national park dedicated to protect wildlife, and it's somewhere I've been wanting to visit for a long time, and I am finally here. And we're going to be doing and seeing a lot of firsts for us, so be sure to subscribe to experience some different places and experiences, or revisit some familiar locations. So I am surprised to discover that our visit to the Everglades actually begins in the car. We're traveling from Weston to Everglades City for our airboat ride via I-75, also known as Alligator Alley. And while we're on this stretch, we're seeing lots of different wildlife: ibis, egrets, herons, bald eagles, and ospreys. And we've also counted about 13 alligators that we can see on the edge. I'm sure there's way more than that. I mean, it is called Alligator Alley. This is just what we're seeing moving 70 miles per hour from the road. There are a number of rest stops and recreational areas where you can fish, kayak, and canoe along Interstate 75. It's been interesting and exciting to have an introduction to the Everglades as we make our way to our airboat ride. We're getting closer to Everglades City, and this is a sign we've never seen before. We're approaching a panther crossing. I read that a major threat to Florida panthers are speeding cars. So the signs are here so that drivers can be conscious and aware, and the speed limit lowers at night when it's more difficult to see. It's believed there may be fewer than 50 adult panthers left. So the Florida panther is one of 15 endangered species that live in the Everglades. It would have been really cool if we had seen one. Of course, that would have been extremely rare. And we have now made it to Everglades City for our airboat ride that we have scheduled with Captain Jack's Airboat Tours. And just driving into Everglades City and to Captain Jack's already looks fun. We've booked the 1 o'clock airboat ride with Captain Javier. And while we wait, there's a toss the line on the hook game. Not sure if that's the official name. I made that up. It's simple yet fun, and an opportunity to get a cool photo op with this happy alligator. I'm personally just enjoying watching the airboats go by as we wait. It doesn't take long for our turn to come, and I'm really looking forward to our first inside look of the Everglades as we board our airboat. Captain Jack offers a couple of different airboat tours. Today we're taking the Mangrove Airboat Tour. And wow, there are a lot of mangroves. That's all I'm seeing for miles. But I'm hoping to see some alligators and maybe even a crocodile or two, since the Everglades is the only place in the world where alligators and crocodiles exist together. So that would be really cool to see. Now, about our airboat, we have two-way headsets with volume control, so we can hear our captain and we can talk to each other too. And for that reason, I do recommend a private boat tour if you have a smaller party. The airboat seats 6, so there is plenty of space, but if it was just us, my kids could talk freely, and when the airboat picks up speed, I can holler out and make sure the kids are okay without disturbing the other people trying to enjoy their airboat ride. That's if I can catch my own breath to holler out though. This boat is whipping through the water so fast that it's taking my breath away. I'm struggling to breathe. I feel like I'm on a roller coaster. It's fun though. You know, while whipping around the mangroves, I'm getting more of an idea about how massive this ecosystem is. The Everglades National Park consists of 1.5 million acres. That's around the size of the state of Delaware. And it used to be even bigger than this at 4 million acres. More than half of it has been lost to agricultural and housing development. So now we're starting to see some wildlife. Captain Javier is pointing out ibis, and apparently it's lunchtime, so we're making a stop to feed the raccoons. These raccoons are so happy to be enjoying a meal without having to put forth any effort. I can definitely relate. They're so cute, which I can say because they're not in our yard. And catfish are in the river waiting for a free meal too. They are really trying to get to that food. It's like a flurry of activity. So now our airboat is moving along again through the mangroves. The tour is about an hour long, so we're about halfway through the tour. And now we're seeing probably the most famous resident of the Everglades, the alligator. And we are fortunate because Captain Javier is telling us they haven't had an alligator sighting in 2 weeks due to the cold snap. So this gator is approximately 10 or 11 feet long, and we're allowed to stand up and get a closer look. Definitely be careful though. London hit the handrail with his foot and lost his footing. We're so dedicated to getting this footage. Well, London is. I'm using my gimbal to get in closer. I'm still seated, but luckily the gator is coming my way, and Captain Javier gets the gator to smell for us. This is the closest I've been to an adult alligator, and I am satisfied. Definitely don't need to get any closer. So as our airboat ride comes to an end, we saw ibis, raccoons, catfish, and one alligator on this trip. But there are still more chances to see more animals because our airboat ride includes a trip to the animal sanctuary and an alligator show, which unfortunately we did not end up making it to. It began to rain, plus my daughter fell asleep in the car. Obviously the airboat ride was just way too exciting and she needs a recharge. And you do need to drive to another location nearby to get to the animal sanctuary and alligator show. So since we're missing out on that, I'm going to visit the Gulf Coast Visitor Center, which is less than 3 miles away from Captain Jack's airboat tours. The Gulf Coast Visitor Center serves as an entrance to the Everglades and is also an access point to the 10,000 Islands, a maze of mangrove islands and waterways extending from Flamingo to Florida Bay. This area is only accessible by boat, canoe, or kayak. Boat tours are offered at the Gulf Coast Visitor Center. The inside of the Visitor Center is currently closed due to the current health situation. However, you can still book boat tours, and rangers are stationed outside to answer questions and pass out booklets. Something helpful to know that I've seen in other videos and we experienced for ourselves. Internet is hit and miss, mostly miss in the Everglades, and we're having difficulty using the GPS. Also, we see a lot of sit-down restaurants in this area, but not much fast food, which is good to know. So if you're in a rush and don't really have time to sit like us, we ended up driving about 3 miles to a gas station that also had a Subway in it. So we've experienced the Everglades by car and by airboat. So next is to set out on one of their trails. We're heading to the main entrance of Everglades National Park, also known as the South Entrance, located in Homestead, Florida. The Ernest F. Coe Visitor Center is located here as well as the Royal Palm and the Flamingo Visitor Center. We're visiting the Ernest F. Coe Visitor Center, named after the professional gardener who dedicated his life to the preservation of the Everglades. This center provides educational displays, informational brochures, as well as other information. The Visitor Center also sells books, postcards, insect repellents, and toys. Lots of toys, as my daughter is happily discovering. The center also sells snacks and many other useful items. As I mentioned, this is only one of 3 entrances, and none of them are connected or close to each other. There is a north entrance to Shark Valley in Miami, and a northwest entrance located in Everglades City, where the Gulf Coast Visitor Center is located. We just talked about that earlier. So today we're heading to the Anhinga Trail and the Gumbo Limbo Trail that's within the main entrance. But before we even get there, look, there's a gator just basking on the side of the road. We haven't even hit the trail and we've already seen a gator. How cool is that? Okay, so there are entrance fees to Everglades National Park, except for entrance fee-free days. So normally we pay $30 to enter by card, which would be valid for 7 days, but we have the Every Kid Outdoors Pass thanks to my son, which grants 4th graders and their families, and right now also 5th graders and their families, free access to hundreds of parks, lands, and waters. There are other passes and annual passes available too. The details are on the National Park Service website. So we can finally get started on our tour of the Everglades by foot, and another new sign. Well, I guess we've been warned. We'll see what happens at the end of this day. There is another visitor center, a smaller visitor center, the Royal Palm, which is in front of the Anhinga Trail, and we are now on the Anhinga Trail. And stating the obvious, this is beautiful. So wide open, so lush, and teeming with life. This is one of the most popular trails because of its abundance of wildlife. The Everglades is home to so many animals, and more than 400 species of birds have been identified in the Everglades. So I can't wait to see what we come across. Actually, the trail is named after the anhinga, a large water bird, so maybe we'll see an anhinga today. Regardless of what we see, it's just so pretty out here. Viewing this landscape is already a special experience, and it's a beautiful day to be here too. We're here in March during the dry season, which runs from December through April, and it's considered the best time to visit. There are fewer biting insects, low humidity, and a lot less rain, plus more animal activity. The other season, the rainy season, runs from April to November. So we're already seeing some fish in the water. The water is really clear, so it's easy to see the wildlife, which is great. And there's our first alligator sighting on the Anhinga Trail. And it's quick because he or she went right under the water. So we're hitting the boardwalk, and this grass is so tall, taller than me. And looking into the water, we see more fish and a turtle swimming too. And I just love looking at all of the lily pads on the water. Such a gorgeous scene. When we reach the ends of the boardwalk and get to take in these panoramic views, it's really awe-inspiring. There are benches here too, so you can sit, take a break, and perhaps even just relax and be present in the environment and the moment. Pulling myself away from serenity, we're continuing down the trail, and there's another alligator. When you see a number of people, there's usually an alligator. And this gator is in no rush. We have all the time in the world to catch him or her on film. While on this trail, we also snapped a picture of a gar and a lubber, a type of grasshopper that lives in the southeastern and south central United States. We've never heard of them before. They're known for their size. They can reach nearly 3 inches, and for its unique coloration. A resident of South Florida pointed this out to us. Again, we learned something new, and I believe I just spotted an Anhinga, but they just went underwater. I'm hoping that they resurface. I'm waiting, looking to see if we're actually going to be able to see an Anhinga on the Anhinga Trail. Oh, and there's the Anhinga. It's like a game trying to keep up with where the bird is going, and the wings are somewhat outstretched now, giving an idea about how big this bird is. And there's the takeoff. So we're going to hit the Gumbo Limbo Trail next. It's right off to the side of the Anhinga Trail, and this trail takes us on a shaded walk surrounded by Gumbo Limbo trees, royal palms, ferns, and air plants. The Gumbo Limbo Trail is much darker than the Anhinga Trail, which is so open and sunny. The Gumbo Limbo Trail feels kind of like walking through a forest. My daughter is telling me how spooky this is. It's a really great example, though, of how diverse the Everglades is. There are many different habitats all within the Everglades. We've learned a lot this weekend, and we most definitely have been off our couch. A lot of steps put in this weekend. But I do feel we accomplished what we came to do. We saw different habitats, viewed the Everglades from afar and up close, and got uncomfortably close to some of the wildlife here. Of course, there's much more to the Everglades. I personally found it overwhelming planning this trip. There were so many different things to do and so many different things to know. I attempted to pack as much helpful information and interesting facts to make your trip more fulfilling. If you found this video helpful, please hit the thumbs up. There is a lot to cover here in the Everglades, and the rangers are so friendly and ready to answer questions, which is wonderful. It makes it so much easier. The Everglades is just our first stop in South Florida, so be sure to subscribe. Lots more coming. And thank you to all our subscribers. Thanks for traveling around with us. We appreciate all the comments, tips, and support. And please leave tips about the Everglades, because we'd love to come back and witness more here. Maybe even this year. Perhaps experience the rainy season. So let us know what you think. Until next week, click on the video to see another one of our experiences. Thanks for watching.